back with another scripting tutorial series, and in today's video, I'm gonna be going over. Let's see, we did prints, we did data types, so string, bools, numbers. We did if statements. We did the not conditional, and we did variables. So I think today I'm gonna go over functions and properties. So I'm gonna go over properties first, and then we'll do functions. So you guys should be pretty familiar with properties. If not, take a look. Let's insert a part into our workspace. And right here, these are all the properties of the part. And remember, in the data types video, we discussed that the properties are composed of different data types, such as numbers, booleans right here, and strings and stuff. So you mess around with these properties and things will happen to this part. So if I take away this cast shadow bool, there's no more shadow in this part. As you can see, bring it back, there is now. Let's start the transparency. It's all transparent. Can't see the part anymore. Reflectance. That's sick. And yeah, you can mess with the size, everything. So I'm gonna show you guys how to mess in server script storage. Actually, yeah, I guess we'll do it in server script storage. Yeah. So we'll just call this properties. And this part, we're gonna call it awesome part. And now we'll just mess with the properties of this part. So let's reference our part like we do. So local part is equal to workspace dot awesome part. That's our part right here. And now we can just call the part variable because that's gonna be this awesome part. And now we can say part, and look, when we write the period dot, it's gonna look for all the properties of this part. So we have the parent property, and all of these properties are right here. So we can look at it in real time. So let's say part dot transparency, for example, is equal to, if we make this 1, through the script, we manually do it. When we load in, oh well, we can't see it because we made it transparent. But yeah, we can actually just look right here in real time and see it, which is awesome. Yeah, 1, and then press 0, it's right there. Okay, yep. And that's very useful. You can manipulate properties through your script in Roblox Studio without actually it's like automatic instead of manually just like putting it here. This is really useful for stuff for even for like obbies. You'll be messing around with properties a lot. You'll be saying, part, if it got touched, then the transparency is equal to 1 through the script, because you can't do that through the workspace, which is very useful. So let's mess around with some more properties. So let's do part dot cast shadow. Let's make it false. And I don't want this part to, yeah. Let's make it transparent. Oh shit. Let's make it, give it the bool value of false. And let's say this part reflectance. Yeah, I kind of want it to be 0.5. So just mess around with all the properties here, however you'd like. Archivable means you can clone it. So that's a whole different video for cloning. And you can change the name as well. The issue is if we change the name right now, like, it's gonna, well, it could work, but we call the awesome part, and then, over here when the script runs again, it won't kind of know. I mean, we can change the name to super part or something like that. Yeah, we made it a string. Super part. There we go. Do we get any errors? No, okay. Yeah, okay, that's fine. That's because the code only ran one time. We didn't loop it over and over. Okay. So let's say part dot. So then you have all of these properties too. You might be wondering size and position. The issue is size. Like things like size take these properties right here. Like they take vector 3, which vector 3 just means x, y, and z. And if you want to give it a new x, y, and z value, new number value, you have to type vector 3.new. And then from here, you can type it in kind of like this. There's also a vector 2, which is just This is based on different things. So like scrolling frames take this, frames take vector 2 for their size. And there's all of these that you probably never ever use. Never even used. I never even used any of these. Vector. But yeah, there's also udim 2, which is good for frames as well. You can put udim 2.new. There's from scale, from offset. This is just how to scale them, but you don't have to use these. These are pretty useful though. That's a whole new video. These are for different videos, but I just want to show you guys them right now for the properties, just in case you wanted to mess around with the position and stuff. Yeah, udim 2.new doesn't work with parts. Oh, we can say part dot can't collide is equal to false. Can't touch it anymore. It won't move. You can anchor it. All of that. And we can mess around with the properties. And the reason why I wanted to show you guys properties is because you will be messing around with properties when you're scripting like Journey a lot. You'll be messing around with, you make an obby, you're gonna be using properties a lot. You make a tower defense game, you gotta use the properties of the tower, and maybe anchor the human root part when you spawn it or whatever. Because that's what I do. There's zombie game, the properties, zombie got hit. You can, I don't know, make it where he's transparent or something, so a special zombie. Things like that. And that's what's nice about properties. It's nice to know about properties because they're right in front of our face, and in a script we can just manipulate them pretty easily. Pretty freaking easily. I will make that's really it for properties. It's nothing crazy. You can do properties aren't really too crazy, nothing hard to understand. Oh, color actually. It's its own thingy, so you put part that color is equal to, you can't just type you have to put color 3 dot new. You can do from RGB. This is pretty easy to use. Because it goes from red, green, blue, so the first number, red, green, blue. So you can actually just, when you use color 3, this little thingy that Roblox gives us, yeah, see that? We can just do that, and then the color will be blue. Yep, see? But I can also use color 3 dot new is also HSV, which H is just the hue, saturation, and then the value. This is I use this for text. So every time the text, I have a script that makes the text come out like a typewriter. So each individual letter comes out, and I use from HSV to make every text a different hue. So yeah, you can use that. These don't stress anything too much. These are all just, remember, these are always all for you. The basic for here is just new. You can just do this. The thing is, new and from RGB are pretty much very similar. This one just from RGB comes from red, green, blue. So the first parameter is red, second green, third blue, and then new is literally about the same. You can just red, green, blue, and I get pink. So color 3 dot new. That's how you manipulate the color properties. Don't stress this too much with properties. Once I make a new video or the next tutorial, not the next one, but a different tutorial, diving into instances and stuff, then we'll go advanced into properties. But I just wanted to show you how properties work sometimes. So that was really about it. So the properties in here will be used with data types. We can manipulate their data types, their string numerical values, and their Boolean values to the script by just referencing them, the rar part, and then the parts, position, whatever. The part dot size or the part dot color takes the special property little thingy right here, color 3 dot new or from RGB, whatever any of these you want, just to manipulate the color. Vectors are just same thing. You can use vector 3 dot new just to make a new vector for the size. Thank you. Because it takes, size has x, y, and z values, and so vector values take x, y, and z's. Udim 2 is a little bit different. Udim 2 is for frames. So it would be how a frame has a position. The position will be 0, 5, 0, 5. You can use Udim 2 for that. But that's a whole new video. Not really. Well, yeah, actually kind of, yeah. But yeah, that's just a brief rundown of properties. Now let's go to actual functions. Let's make a new script and let's call it functions. All right. So this is actually the fun part. This one's very important. So listen up. Okay. So functions are super duper useful. Oh shit, I shouldn't look at that back. Because what functions do, just before I even explain them, functions, you have to listen up because functions, we will use them for every single thing that we do. Like not every single thing, but for the rest of your coding career in any other language besides the Roblox one, a function is the most useful thing ever. A function you will use every single time you make a new system in the game. You want to save data, you gotta use a function. You want to load data, use a function. You want to make a player getting killed, something happens, use a function. Functions, you will use them forever, you will see them forever. We already know how to write if statements, if true, else. We already covered that. And we already know our variables and data types. A function, all it does is let us call the same thing. That's why I delayed the functions till now. Because a function just allows you, it's not necessarily it does like something like an if statement. It's more of a function is a big line of code that runs whenever you want it to, whenever you call it. So I'll give you an example. So let's make a variable. Local variable is equal to 5. Or no, actually, local number is equal to 5. Local bool is equal to true. Let's just say that. And now those are our functions. How you write a function? So local function. And then, so you declare it's a function instead of a variable. Say local function. And then you give the function a name. So we're going to say my function. And then after you give the function a name, you want to do open and open close parentheses. And then press enter. And that's how you write a function. The reason why we use these, this is a different video. Because functions are able to take something called a parameter. And you can give it arguments. And those are super duper useful. And those will be in the next video. But this is a function. And this function right now does nothing. So let's say print number. And if we press play, the function, nothing happens. It didn't print out the number. It didn't print out 5. The reason being is because a function only runs, this is your function, it only runs if you call it. So to call a function, we're just going to say my function. Right below, we're going to say my function. And the reason why that's so useful, it doesn't just run whenever it wants, is because now you could control it. If you want it to run and you just made it into a function, you can just call it right here, and then it'll run like a normal piece of code, but you organized it into a function. But functions are super useful because later in the series, you'll see we can call them on different occasions. So like we can say, if this is true, then we call the function, you know what I mean? Or whenever the player gets added into the game, then we call this function to load his data, something like that. Or whenever he leaves the game, we save his data. That's how functions work. That's why it's so useful and so powerful. So now if we press play, now it printed out. Now the function actually went. The function actually ran. So let's call this function one more time. Now let's actually make this function. The reason why functions are so useful is because it's the same line of code so the function is defined as this big line of code, right? And we can just call this code whenever we want instead of rewriting 1,000 times. So if you have some sort of code that you know that is very useful throughout your scripts, and you don't want to keep calling it 1,000 times, not calling it, you don't want to keep writing the code over and over, make it into a function one time and then just keep calling this function because it's going to be the same thing as if you wrote the code. You get what I'm saying? Also, it's super duper useful because that line of code is all tied into the function. So it's not like you're writing new things over and over, which makes it so useful. So useful. For example, saving someone's data. I have a save data function in my game. I'm not going to write down all of that over and over just to save some little data. I have made it into a function. I just call the function just like this, my save data. And then boom, that's it. It works. The only, if you try to call a function that doesn't work, or you don't have it defined, you'll get an error, And you're wondering, what if I try to call the function before we defined it? It won't work unless we get rid of the local. And then now it would. And you might be asking, okay, if I get rid of the local and I just keep it as a function, my function, right? Then how come we write it local in front of it? We can just keep it defined throughout the whole thing. Well, there's no really big reason. You can just take it out if you want. If it's at the top, I don't feel like writing just function, but I like to just write local. It's just habit. If I have the fuck happened? Oh, okay, I see. If I have a function that I know I want to use multiple times, but like it's below a script and I don't want to put at the top, you can get rid of the local. It's fine. Oh wow, that's funny. But yeah, it's pretty much safe to use local, and without local, it's fine for this function. Make it, you know. So now let's actually write inside our function make something. So let's use what we learned from our previous videos. Let's say if number is equal to 5 and number. Oh wait, sorry guys, we haven't done that yet. Sorry. Then print my function ran the first if statement condition. Let's do that. And then now let's make else. So else if number is equal to 4, then print I don't know. My function ran the second line or second if statement. And then we're gonna set bool is equal to false. And then we're gonna say else. So else if it's not 5 or 4, just any other number, print. And default callback ran. Something like that. And then we'll say bool is equal to true. And then at the end of this, I'm gonna say return. Oh shit, you guys don't even know that. Sorry, next video. And then I'm just gonna say, yeah, let's say at the end of this, let's print out bool value. The reason why I'm gonna print out bool at the end of the function is because I want all of these to run, and I want to see what the bool is at the end of this. So it will run. Remember this, and then since we redefined bool a couple times in the if statements, so bool might not be true, it might be false. So let's see what happens, and that's why the function is so useful. And we can just call this function. So let's see right here. My function ran the first if statement condition. Oh yeah, that's because number is equal to 5. And then yeah, right here in our functions, bool is true. So now let's make the number equal to 4. Look at that. My function ran the second one, and bool is now false because we printed bool after all these ifs, and our ifs ran. And yep. Okay. And then now if we make it true, or 3, sorry. Let's make bool equal to nil actually, if that's the case. Yeah. False, default callback ran, and then nil. Bool is nil. Awesome. This is a whole different. I gotta disable these, bruh. Awesome. And now you might be wondering, okay, how can we call functions like a million times? Call it twice. You called the function twice. Yeah, so there you go. Look, it ran twice now. So it's not like you're limited to just using the function one time. You can use it over and over in different scripts when needed, or different parts of the script, sorry, when needed. That's what makes a function so powerful, because you can just make functions for basic stuff. You can make a function bool val or something like that, and then you can say if bool is equal to true, then do whatever, and then yeah, all of these you can do that as well for your function. It just makes your life a lot easier. It's really organized and clean. You can write function for numbers, and then I can just like do this, and look, it looks a lot more organized. It's easy to read your code. Functions are super duper useful. You can make a function for properties as well. So if the number is equal to 5, then I can say like workspace.awesomepart. Position, or no, transparency is equal to 1 or something like that. We can do that as well. This will all happen in there. That's what makes it super duper awesome. And that's why functions are so powerful, because you can just call them whenever you want, however you want, and they can do whatever you want. And I can call it all that, and it will just run over and over and over and over. See that? And that's why functions are so awesome. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys have any questions, if I missed anything, if you guys still have any questions about functions or properties, just let me know in the comments, and I'll get back to you. Hope you guys enjoyed. Peace.